Hello everybody, it's the War Hipster here, coming at you with another Cursed City Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting Brutogg Corpse-Eater. Yep, got that right. So, what we're going to do is just going to jump straight into painting, and he has been primed with Wraithbone, and the first colour we're going to be using is Wyldwood. Now we're going to be using this on the male shirt and armour, under kind of where it's underneath, as it were. So what we do is we take the Wyldwood on our brush, and I'm using a small layer brush here, so I want a little bit of control. But it doesn't matter too much if I get this on top of the armour plates themselves, because all I'm trying to do is pick out the undershirt. Just like this. And with that done, what we're going to do now is we're going to use some thinned down Iron Warriors. I'm going to use this to paint in all of the mail and those silver armor plates down here as well. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some thinned down Warplock Bronze. I'm going to use this to paint in his helmet and the head of his mace. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Screaming Bell. I'm going to use this to paint in the face on the shoulder pad. And with that done, we're just going to hit pause on doing the metallics just for a second, because what we're going to do is we're going to colour in all the red leather details. And the colour we're going to make is a roughly 1-to-1 Wyldwood and Blood Angels red mix. And what we want to do is we just want to pick out, as I said, all of our red leather. So we've got areas like just here, like the belts. And we've got the straps on his ankles and his wrists as well. And next up, we're going to use some thinned down Runelord Brass. This is going to be for the outside trim on our shoulder pad. As well as for all of the various belt buckles and things. And with that done, what we're now going to do is going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. I'm going to use it in a couple of areas. So one, we've got this little bit of inner trim just here. On the shoulder pad. Like so. We've got this little elven necklace that he's somehow managed to pilfer. As well as the rune on top of that flask. And we've also got this band here on his helmet. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to move on. I'm going to paint the fur and the rope around his neck. And the colour we're going to be using for this is Skeleton Horde. Don't worry too much about highlights and shading just yet. We're just going to get a few more of the base coats on, and then we're going to tackle the shading on all those metallics. And next up, we're going to paint in his trousers using a roughly 3 parts Space Wolves Grey to 1 part Ultramarines Blue mix. And next up, we're going to paint in the really dark leather details. And these are going to be his boots and the scabbards here, as well as that little backpack, but not the strap in the middle. So the colour we're going to be using, as I say, is Cygor Brown. We just want to slap this all over these details. Nice and thick. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to work on the black details. The first colour we're going to use for these is Basilicanum Grey. Now this is going to include areas like his fingerless glove here, like that. We've also got the wrapping around his mace. We've got all the straps and this little bag here as well. And with that done, what we're now going to do is take some black Templar. I'm going to paint this over the top of that Basilicanum Grey. And with that black Templar applied, we're now going to use some straight up plain old Wyldwood to paint in the wooden haft of his weapon. And next up, we're going to use some Gryph-Charger Grey. I'm going to use this to paint in the stone vase hanging from his belt. And with that done, we've just got a couple of base coats left to do. We're just going to leave that horn just for now. But what we are going to do is we're going to paint in all of the flesh. And the colour we're going to be using for this is Guilliman Flesh. And so with that, all of our base coats are now finished. So, apart from that horn. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some shading to all those metallics to take them to the next level, then add the highlights, and then we'll finish off with that horn. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use some Guilliman Flesh, and we're going to use this on the Screaming Bell and the Retributor Armour. So it's going to be here on the shoulder pad and here on the trinkets on his neck. So what we do is we take that Guilliman Flesh on our brush, and we just start painting it all over these details. Now we just want to avoid the Runelord Brass around the edge. That's going to be a different shading. So now we just want to hit that area there. Hello everybody, it's the War Hipster from the future here. What you're supposed to be watching here is me shading all of the Runelord Brass and all of the Warplock Bronze with Basilicanum Grey. It's reasonably simple, but there was an error with the recording. See, the camera was already going, and then when it got ready to do the actual take, I stopped recording, did the take, and then pressed the button again and started recording. So basically, there was a process error and I got it all in the wrong order. So I do apologise, you can sort of see it, but yeah, Basilicanum Grey over those metallic areas. And so, what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the main event, which is of course that metal mail shirt. So, and of course these little areas down here. What we're going to do is we're going to make two colours. We're going to make a roughly 3 parts contrast medium to 1 part black Templar, and then we're also going to just use Fyreslayer Flesh on its own. The reason for this is that we want this to have like little rusted sections, but we also want to have quite a nice distinctive shading on it. So we take the black Templar first, and we just start painting it all over our mail shirt, just like this. You'll see that black Templar is just really nicely filling in all of those mail links for us. Like that. Then what we do is we wash the brush and grab a small amount of Fyreslayer Flesh, not very much, and just in certain sections, wherever you like, just add it here and there to create this kind of rusted metal effect. You see? Just like. So you just want to go around like this on all of the mail, and then we'll come back. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to start some highlights and layering on all those metallics. And the place we're going to start is on that shoulder pad and on that screaming bell that we originally painted. So the colour we're going to be using is Hashut Copper. I'm going to be using this just to pick out all of our raised details. Just like this. And with that Hashut Copper applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to use some Sycorax Bronze. I'm going to use this in 2 different ways. Firstly, I'm going to use this as a little bit of a spot highlight on that screaming bell area, like that, just picking out the sharpest details. What we're also going to do is going to highlight all of our Runelord Brass areas with it as well. And with that done, what we then want to do is we want to take some Liberator Gold. We want to highlight our gold details. So we've got that bit on the necklace here, but we've also got this decorative feature here on the shoulder pad. I mean, it's all decorative on there, right? With with that done, what we're then going to do is take some Runelord Brass and we're going to highlight our dark metal sections, which we originally painted with the Warplock Bronze. So here's like the helmet, the armoured casing on his fist stabby weapon, and that wicked looking maul. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some Iron Hand Steel. We're going to use this to highlight all of our silver details. So we've got areas like those little spikes there on the gauntlet, like that. But what we've also got, of course, is the mail shirt. Now you don't have to highlight every single mail link. Just pick out sort of every other chain link. Kind of like that. And with that done, just to finish off all of our metallics, so this is going to include the silvers, the bronzes, the brasses and the golds. So we're going to take some Canoptek Alloy. What we're going to do is we're going to apply it using a very gentle dry brush. So what we just want to do is just very carefully just add a little bit of this to all of these metallics. I'm starting here on the helmet. I'm going to work my way down. I'm not doing the whole thing, just picking out certain areas. And so with that done, our metallics are all finished. So what we're going to do is going to move on and start painting in all of the leather details, well, highlighting them at least. And the colour that we're going to be using first is Skrag Brown, and we're going to be using this on all of our red leather. Just like this. And with that Skrag Brown applied, what we're then going to do is take some Deathclaw Brown. I'm going to use this as our spot highlight for all of our red leather. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is going to take some Mournfang Brown. I'm going to use this to highlight the dark Cygor Brown leather details. But we're only just going to use this as a little spot highlight because we want these to just be really dark. So we're not picking out the whole of the detail. You see? Just like that. Similarly here on the backpack. And with that done, we're then going to take some Baneblade Brown. We're going to use this to highlight our Wyldwood. This will be areas like the undershirt for his mail and his wooden haft of his mace. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some Dawnstone. Use this to highlight all of our black details. Just like that. And then next up we want to use a small amount of Administratum Grey. Just add a little spot highlight. to our Dawnstone highlights. And so with that done, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and paint the fur, and the colour that we're going to be using for this is Screaming Skull. We just want to go around and pick out each of these strands. Just like that. And with that done, what we're then going to do is take some Russ Grey. I'm going to use this to highlight his trousers. And then next up, we're going to use some Fenrisian Grey to highlight over the top of our Russ Grey highlights on the trousers. And so with that done, the majority of our base coats are now all shaded and highlighted. All that's left to do is the skin and of course his face. So what we're going to do is going to make a roughly 2 parts Flayed One Flesh to 1 part Kislev Flesh mix. I'm going to use this to effectively relayer the skin so it becomes nice and bright, because it's a little bit dark, but we've got our ideal kind of tone from which to work now. So we'll start here on the face. So what we're going to do is just going to take this colour, just going to start painting it all over his skin, just avoiding all of the recesses. Now this will make him nice and pale. So I'll demonstrate here on my fingers. Just want to pick out just like this. Now don't worry if it looks too pale. We are going to do something to it after this. It doesn't have to be a perfect relayering. And so with that Flayed One and Kislev Flesh mix applied, what we're then going to do is going to take some Pallid Witch Flesh. We're going to use this to pick out all of the sharpest details across all of his skin. So we want to pick out areas like, for example, on the face. Pick out his nose, his cheeks, his brow. On the fingers and the muscles, we want to pick out any of the sharp, defined details on them. Just like this. So with that done, what we're going to make is a roughly 3 parts contrast medium to 1 part Magos Purple mix. And we're going to use this over the top of all of our facial features. Just be careful not to overwhelm the face. If you do have too much on your brush, you will kind of clog up that detail, which you definitely don't want to do. Hello there.
future War Hipster again, contradicting past War Hipster. What you also want to do is you want to use this Magos Purple and Contrast Medium mix on the rest of the flesh. As you can see, I'm doing it there on the hand when I said that it was just going to be on the face. That was not true. I was lying to you. So I'm telling you the truth now. See? There I am, doing it on the arm as well.
And so with that done, the arms are pretty much finished. So what we're going to do is just going to quickly focus on the face just for a moment. The colour that we're going to be using is Wyldwood. We want to use this in the deepest recesses of his face. Just want to use small amounts of this at a time. And we want to use this to really just reinforce his craggy features. And then next up, we want to once again take some pallid witch flesh, just to really kind of add some definition. Back into the face. And with that done, what we then do, take some Screaming Skull. We use this to pick out each of his teeth and also the whites of his eyes. And with that done, we then take a small dot of Black Templar. We add this to the center of those eyes. There's his pupil. And with those eyes done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Volupus Pink and Contrast Medium. We're not going to use very much of this at all. What we want to do is we want to take this and just paint it around his gums and his bottom lip. As well as on his tongue, if you can get in there. Just like that. What you can also do is use just a small amount of this mix around any of the scars. Like that, as well as the veins. Any of the deepest recesses, should you wish. Like for example here in the neck, just add a little bit of it, like that. And so with that done, our face and our skin are finished. So what we're going to do is just going to move on and just going to paint that horn. And the 3 colours that we're going to be using are Contrast Medium, Skeleton Horde and Wyldwood. The method is very simple. What we want to do is just want to grab some Contrast Medium first of all, a fair amount of this on our brush, and just on top of that horn just want to paint that Contrast Medium over the top on both sides like that. Make sure you've got a good amount of this Contrast Medium on there. Then what you do is wash the brush, grab some Skeleton Horde, just over the top, add the Skeleton Horde, like that. Give the brush a wash, grab some Wyldwood into the tip. You just add this Wyldwood like this. Once again, all the way around. And then what we do is we grab some Contrast Medium once again. And where the 2 colours meet, just use it to blend the two together like that. And then next up we use some Screaming Skull to add some highlights to that horn, going from the tip all the way to the bottom. You just want to draw lots and lots of little lines. Just like this. So with that done, we've just got two things left to do, and that's going to be the stone jar there hanging off his belt, and also the gem on that, well, necklace thing that he's wearing. So the colour that we're going to be using for both of these is Ork Flesh. I'm going to be doing this in two different ways. So firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Ork Flesh on our brush, just over the top of that gem. We just want to paint this Ork Flesh all over, like that. Start off small and just build it up until you get to a green that you're happy with. I'm pretty happy with that, like that. What we're also going to do is we're going to use the Ork Flesh on the jar. I'm going to use this to create the illusion of some cracks in the stonework. So all we want to do is just draw a little line there on the handle, and then also on the body. You just want to draw a small crack, just very carefully, in the side, like this. And with that done, what we then do is take some Basilicanum Grey, and over the top of the middle of the gem, just want to add a little bit of shading, like so. And over the top of our cracks, just want to trace over them again with the grey. And finally, I'm going to use some Gorse Blaster Green to highlight our gem. So I'm just going to add this to the bottom side. Like that. And similarly around all of our cracks. And with that done, all that's left to do is his base, and I'm going to be doing it in the same style as the rest of my Cursed City set. And if you want to see how I did this, you can check out the How to Paint Imelda, Captain Imelda Breskov, or How to Paint Jelson Darroch. But of course, as always, I would recommend that you do yours in the same style as the rest of your Cursed City set, however it is that you've chosen to do it.
And so, Brutogg Corpse-Eater is now finished. He is a brute. He's just a big chunky guy, and it's a really fun detailed miniature. There's a hell of a lot of metallic work on him, which when you initially look at the model, you don't see it, and then it just kind of, it's there once you're painting it. It's a nice surprise when you get a model that's kind of like that. But it was a lot of fun to do. There's lots of different metallic recipes going on here. Some we've never seen before, which was a nice challenge. And, well, I hope it helps you when you're painting your Cursed City set, or indeed any other metallics you might be facing. For example, that copper and all that brass. Using the Warplock Bronze and Screaming Bell for the first time was really, really cool. They're such lovely, vibrant colours. I adore them. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, like these legends and bosses that you can see on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon.
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.